Hello everyone, you're watching this video so you can learn a little bit more about documentation. In this unit you looked at subprograms as well as selection. Selection is documented the same as we normally do. We provide some information about what is happening in the if statement or the else if statement, the if else statement, just to describe what's happening in each possible selection. Now, looking at this program, I recompleted the uh, practice problem from H4 for functions practice. And let's take a look at the documentation that's here. So at the top we have our headers, so the author, the file name, the project name, the creation date, the modify date, and a description. So this program is built to calculate the number of minutes and seconds that have passed based on a user provided total number of seconds or number of seconds. So looking through the program, I've got some information that I'm taking in from the user. So I want to take in how many total seconds have gone by. And I've stated that here with my documentation. So ask the user to enter the total number of seconds that have passed. So some of this documentation has not changed. It's still new, or it's still the same as before. There's plenty of white space between my different blocks of code. So right here I have where I'm asking the user for the total number of seconds. And here I have my variables. I have my scanner with some white space after it. So I'm separating these different things. And then I'm calling some subprograms to calculate the total number of minutes that have passed and the total number of seconds that have passed. And I've stated that here in my documentation. And then I'm also going to call a procedure to output the total number of minutes and seconds. So I have two functions and a procedure. The only thing that changes now, because you are doing subprograms, we need to document them with a little bit more information. So we have a pre, which is what are the parameters and assumed restrictions of this data. So write none if there's no parameters. So in my first subprogram, calc minutes, the pre is the total time in seconds. So I'm passing the total time in seconds, which you can see from calc minutes here where I call it. I'm passing the user seconds, which is the amount of time that I took from the user, or that I asked for the information from the user. So I'm passing that to this subprogram, calc minutes, and I make a note of that in the pre. For the post, it's what is the returning data and the type. So write none if there's no return value. So here I'm returning the number of minutes that have passed, and that would be of a type int. So we'll add that in at the end, so that I'm showing what I'm passing back or what I'm returning and its type. And then there's a description as well. So which is just here is the total number of seconds divided by 60 to determine the number of minutes that have passed. Okay, so this is the new part that you haven't seen yet since we're doing subprograms. Inside the subprogram, everything is documented as normal. So I'm giving some information about what my calculation is doing. So I'm dividing the total number of seconds by 60, and then that's the information that I'm returning. Okay, and that's what I'm stating here as well. So the calculation is described in the description here, but what I'm actually returning is the number of minutes that have passed. Similar thing happening for the calc seconds subprogram. So I'm returning the number of minutes that have passed, and that is also going to be an int type. The pre is the same, the post is slightly different, and then the description is different. So I'm performing the modulus of the total number of seconds when divided by 60. And that'll give you the total number of seconds beyond the number of minutes that are calculated in the previous subprogram. And then inside the subprogram, again, I'm stating what the calculation is actually doing. So I'm taking the total number of seconds and I'm dividing that by 60. So here's the information that's being passed. I'm using that variable and taking the modulus of 60 to give me how many seconds have passed beyond the total number of minutes. And finally, my last subprogram, well, these last ones were both functions, so I'm returning a value. This next one is not a function, it's just a procedure. So it's going to do some output for me. It's not going to return a value. So after I call it, I do have to pass some information. So I'm passing the minutes and the seconds that have passed, which come from the previous two subprograms. They are calculated and stored in separate variables, but I'm not returning any value. So there I can put for the post, I can just put none. And then for the description, the total number of minutes and seconds that have passed are displayed for the user. So again, even though I have a description here, I'm still stating what's happening inside my subprograms. Okay, so as you would normally do when you're typing into the main method. And that's it for subprograms.